Imagine you're a bear hibernating for the winter. When bears hibernate, they take long, slow, deep breaths in and out through their noses. Take a long breath in through your nose. Let it all the way out. Take another long breath in through your nose. Let it all the way out. Keep breathing like this and feel how relaxed and warm and safe you are in your cozy bear cave. Once more, take a long breath in through your nose and let it all the way out. Now imagine this is how teachers lead the first minute of math class for first graders all across the country. The room becomes calm, and the teacher is able to start the lesson on time with the focused attention of the students. Bite-sized mindfulness, short, kid-friendly practices, when they're done consistently, can be a powerful tool to help our kids lead healthier, happier lives. They're simple to do, they take very little time, and they cost nothing. And in a world that's increasingly fast-paced, where kids are bombarded with media and screens, where they have less and less downtime to just be, these practices can teach kids essential skills: how to calm themselves, how to focus and pay attention, how to manage their behavior and emotions, and how to practice compassion and kindness. They can also help kids cope with and release anxiety and stress. And anxiety is a serious problem among our kids. When I go into schools to help them bring yoga and mindfulness into the school day, I hear over and over from teachers and principals and school counselors, our kids are stressed out. They say even very young kids are displaying more anxious behaviors than they've ever seen before. So I did some research. The National Institute of Mental Health looked at 10,000 adolescents in this country and found that 1 in every 4 to 5 of them meets the criteria for a serious mental health disorder. And of those disorders, the largest category was anxiety disorders, with a median age of onset of age 6. The researchers' conclusion was that this shows a need for a shift from treatment of these types of issues in our young people to prevention and early intervention. Anxious kids have a hard time in school and in life. They can have difficulty focusing and paying attention. They can have behavioral and emotional issues. They're not ready to learn. And the greatest teacher in the world can't get a lesson across if students aren't ready to learn. The teacher's time is taken up helping the anxious student. Other kids don't get the attention they need, and the negative effect can ripple outward. But we have the tools to help them and to help every child who will, undoubtedly at some point, suffer from stress and anxiety. Bite-sized mindfulness practices. Let me tell you about one more research study, this one showing the benefits of mindfulness practice with kids. An organization called Mindful Schools looked at 400 elementary school students in 4 areas of classroom behavior: paying attention, participation, self-control, and respect for others. The kids did a simple mindfulness program 3 times a week for 5 weeks. They found significant gains in all 4 of those areas. Just think about this for a minute. Improvements in self-control and respect for others, a total gift to teachers everywhere, but also critical skills kids need to learn just to get along in life. And paying attention and classroom participation, these lead directly to academic gains. They benefit not only the students in that classroom, but that teacher, that school will perform better, and the positive effects ripple outward. So 3 elements of bite-sized mindfulness: short, kid-friendly, practice consistently. First, nobody has any extra time, right? Parents are going every which way, and the teachers that I know say, I'm up to my eyeballs in lessons, I have to fit in a certain amount of time, please don't give me one more thing to do. I totally get that. But we all know it just takes a few slow, deep breaths to help us feel so much calmer. The theory behind that is that controlled breathing sends the brain a signal that all is well, and it begins to calm the nervous system and slow the body's stress response. So my reply is, take that 1 minute for consistent mindfulness practice and you'll get it back and then some. Your classroom will be calmer. Your students will be better able to pay attention. The lesson will go more smoothly. There's a kindergarten teacher I know who uses my Mindful Moments for Kids, which is a collection of these bite-sized mindfulness exercises. She gets her kids for math directly from the cafeteria, which is crowded and noisy. And so her job becomes not so much teaching them math, but settling them down so she can eventually teach them math. She puts 1 minute of mindfulness at the beginning of that math class every day. And over time, the kids settled into it. They began to look forward to it. They calmed themselves quickly, and she said it has transformed her ability to teach that class. Kid-friendly. So when I mention mindfulness, maybe it brings up a picture in your head of someone sitting on a cushion meditating with incense and candles. That's not what we're talking about at all here. There's no special equipment needed. These exercises can be done sitting at a desk, standing, even walking. It's an approach that works for all young kids, most of whom have ants in their pants and would not sit still on a cushion anyway. And when I say all young kids, I mean all young kids. I've seen this work in all kinds of families, and I've done this work in all kinds of schools, with varying demographics and at every point on the socioeconomic spectrum. But in order for these practices to work, the kids have to like doing them. So they have to be built around concepts the kids enjoy. They have to be fun. So for example, we take our cup of hot chocolate, but it's much too hot to take a sip right now, so we have to blow on it to cool it off. And we take a long breath in, and we blow toward our hot chocolate, and we repeat that 6 or 7 or 8 times. Or we see a big, beautiful flower we've never seen before, and we're curious how it smells, so we bring it up close, and we take a long sniff in, let it all the way out, and we repeat that 5 or 6 or 7 times. When I go into a school to present an assembly, and I have 300 super wiggly kids sitting in front of me all smushed together on the gym floor, and I lead them in bear breath or flower breath, and they become totally engaged and quiet and still, the teachers are generally pretty astounded. But they're not quiet and still because I taught them the benefits of deep breathing on their central nervous system, or because they've been reading up on how trendy mindfulness is. They're quiet and still because it's a concept that speaks to them, and because it feels good, because it works. Consistency. Like any other skill, consistent practice is the key to its effectiveness. Paying attention is a skill. We constantly ask kids to pay attention, but we don't teach them how, and we don't have them practice. But the act of paying attention over and over to our breath coming in and out of our bodies teaches kids to pay attention to other things. So consistent practice means, for families, attaching it to something in the routine that you already do every day. Maybe that's getting in the car to go to school in the morning. For schools, it means fitting it into the schedule at a non-negotiable time, same time every day, everybody knows what to expect. A school that I work with puts 3 mindful moments during every day, school-wide. The first one is broadcast over the PA after the morning announcements. Everybody knows it's coming, and no matter where anyone else is in the school, even in the middle of the hallway, they stop and they participate. 1 minute, but it sets a calm and positive tone for the school day. Bite-sized mindfulness is also an incredible vehicle for teaching kids what are called social-emotional skills. These are skills like self-awareness, self-regulation, which is managing your behavior and emotions, and practicing social and relationship skills, like empathizing, showing compassion and kindness and respect. I do one with kids I just call Send Good Thoughts. We breathe in, we breathe out, and as we continue breathing like this, I ask the kids to think of someone they love. Picture that person in their mind. You can do it too if you want. And think of something kind they could say to that person. Say it quietly in your mind. And then I ask them to think of a different person, someone who they know might be struggling or having a hard time or who doesn't feel well, and to think of something kind they could say to that person. Say it quietly in your mind. And we breathe in and we breathe out. It takes 1 minute. But over time, it begins to build kids' muscles for practicing compassion and kindness. This isn't an enrichment program. It's not another in a long line of extracurricular activities to choose from. As these kids grow up, they need to be able to not only cope with the challenges of the world, but hopefully to make positive changes. And any positive change we make out there begins in here. So for these kids learning to calm and control themselves, to manage their behavior and emotions, these aren't extras. This is essential. Think of a child who's caught in a cycle of acting out and discipline and punishment in school. She disrupts the classroom, she's removed from the class. She misses the lesson and gets behind. She gets frustrated, she acts out some more, her grades slip. She eventually gives up on school altogether. This happens all the time. Now imagine if that child had a grown-up in her life, a grandparent, a teacher, a school counselor, a parent, who consistently taught her simple mindfulness practices tailored right to her age. And over time, she learns to calm herself. She becomes self-aware, so she recognizes when she's about to act out and can stop it in its tracks. She practices showing kindness to other people. She's able to stay in the classroom, keep up with her studies, graduate and go on to be a force for good in the world. This one simple tool can literally change the trajectory of a child's life. Now think of this effect multiplied by hundreds, by thousands, by millions of kids, and you begin to see it's so simple, but it can be so powerful. Imagine self-regulation being taught alongside academics in all our schools. Imagine a whole generation of kids who are self-aware enough to make thoughtful choices, who have grown up practicing compassion and kindness. But we don't need to wait for the school system to change. We can't wait for the school system to change, because kids need to be learning these skills now. So we start now with the kids in our lives. There are incredible organizations out there bringing mindfulness to children. Holistic Life Foundation, Mindful Schools, Childlight, YoKid, Mindful Practices, the list goes on. And if you can attend a training or take an online course or bring their wonderful people into your school or home, absolutely do it. But most families and most schools, whether because of time or resources or something else, are not in a position to do that right this minute. So we start with baby steps, but they're powerful baby steps. Because you don't need any special training. It doesn't need to cost any money. There are resources readily available everywhere to help you bring simple mindfulness to children. They're online, in your library, at your local bookstore. You can create your own. We're not talking about families rearranging their lives or schools searching for money in an already tight budget to ramp up to the launch of a big new program or having to send their teachers to a long training. We're talking about an approach that can be implemented in every home and every school tomorrow morning. So congratulations, you are all now experts. You know everything you need to know to start sharing this essential gift with the children in your lives now. Thank you.